Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Daniel, one half of the Kwak brothers. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the BRRRR strategy. So let's cue that intro and let's get right to it. Alright guys, welcome back. It's Daniel, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the BRRRR strategy. Now, what is the BRRRR strategy? And in all honesty, that's something that I had to ask myself a couple months ago when I actually put out a video that talked about this particular strategy. But I decided to do this one because, well, I think there's more things to be talked about, and there's a lot of aspect of this strategy that not a lot of people are bringing up, and I feel like that it's something that is up to me to bring up. And before we get into this video, guys, right, first off, click the subscribe button and click on that notification bell. We do have a lot of real estate investing content that we will be pushing out on specific topics that you guys are wanting. So if you want to be the first in line and the first to also make money using these strategies and information, well then click on that notification bell so that way you can be part of everything that we've got going on. Number two, in any way, shape, or form, I'm not here, guys, I repeat, I'm not here to burn down the BRRRR strategy, right? I'm not here to say that it's bad, right? For me, like, I will never judge the way somebody else runs their business, right? At the end of the day, it's America, right? It's a free country, right? I immigrated here when, I was 5 years old, for the freedom, right? And you guys are free to do whatever you want with your real estate investing business. But at the same time, I'm making this video because, well, there's some things and some questions that I want to ask and encourage you guys to think of when it comes to doing this strategy, because it's such a popular thing to do, right? So let's get to it. What is the BRRRR? Well, the BRRRR stands for buying, rehabbing, renting, refinancing, and repeating. And it's a strategy that it seems to be rather popular, and it's something that a lot of people want to do. Well, it's something that I've also heard a lot about in many years past as I was training and traveling around the country and helping individuals and speaking on stage and training. And I just didn't know it was called the BRRRR, right? But when we're talking about the truth when it comes to the BRRRR strategy, I realize there are a lot of things that people have done in the past that are very similar to this strategy. And yet at the same time, these are the same individuals that actually approached me after training them and after running my training sessions and saying, oh, Daniel, I remember I used to have 7 homes. I used to have 15. I used to have 30. And a lot of times they've had a bit of a downfall. And for me, I was very interested and very curious as to why that was. Why did they do, something that seemed like a legit strategy, like buying a house, rehabbing it, renting, refinancing, and then doing another one? Why is it that a lot of these individuals that I have personally met have had a bit of a downfall? They weren't able to maintain it. They weren't able to sustain it. Why is that? And I started looking into the strategy, and I started seeing some aspects that, for me was kind of just a head scratcher. And for a lot of you guys, if you saw the last video that I made with my buddy Chris, well, you'll know that I'm not trying to knock the strategy in any way, but I did say in the last video that I don't think it's as beneficial or as good as people think in some aspects of a market cycle. For example, if the money is tight and values are going higher and higher and prices are overinflated like it is now, I don't think it's such that great of a strategy, right? Especially in dealing with the bank, that important part of refinancing where you have to cash out your investor. So let me introduce some things for you guys to think about. And again, right, it's just to create a discussion, right? It's just so that you guys can think and get more educated, more knowledgeable, right? Consider me the devil's advocate, right? I love being the devil's advocate in most scenarios, but in this scenario, allow me to play the devil's advocate. And I understand that there's a lot of people who've had success with it, and that's great. I just, at the end of the day, want everybody to win. So let's say in a hypothetical scenario, right, you buy a house for $150,000, and let's say that you put about $25,000 into the rehab budget, right? So you buy it for $150,000, you put about $20,000 to $30,000, right? Let me just use $30,000 to be more conservative. So you're up to about $180,000. Let's say you raise that money, and now the after repair value is now $250,000, right? $250,000. So the goal is to buy it, you've already rehabbed it, and let's say after that you rent it out. You rent it out and the individuals pay rent, etc., etc. And then you go to the bank and you refinance, right? So let's just stop here at the refinance. And this is where a lot of head-scratching moments for me to start coming in play, because I think the BRRRR strategy, when it comes to talking about the truth of the BRRRR strategy, I think the BRRRR strategy is really good in the first 2-3 years of a recovering market, right? The first 2-3 years of what's called a bull market. Right? And for a lot of you guys that don't know what a bull market means, it basically means an optimistic market, a good market, so to speak. Bearish market is the opposite, where it's kind of negative, right? You're more pessimistic about what's going to happen. So the first 2-3 years of a bull market, I think it's fantastic because banks are very quick to refinance. They're very quick to give out loans and give out more favorable interest rates, like what we saw 8 to 10 years ago, right? Where the interest rates were at 0, and then it didn't get risen until December of 2015, right? So it's much more favorable. The rates are more favorable. It means better cash flow. And at the same time, they're more willing to lend out money. Very easy, right? The whole definition of refinancing, you're stripping the equity out to pay your investors back. So let's go back to the scenario. So you have $180,000, $150,000 to acquire, $30,000 to rehab. And let's say that the extra $10,000, $20,000 is for closing costs, paying a realtor, whatever it may be, or not a realtor in this scenario, but let's say, extra miscellaneous fees and things that come up, right? So let's just put at $10,000 just to make it a little bit more minimalistic. So you're at $190,000 and the value is at $250,000. So in this scenario, you still have to provide a return for your investor. So you have to provide, if you're providing a 10% return out of the $180,000 that they're investing, well, you got to give them $18,000 on top of that. So you do $180,000 plus the $18,000 plus the fees. Let's say that we're at $210,000, right? $210,000. So $210,000. So you're at the refinance part. So you've bought it, you've rehabbed it, now you've put a renter in there, which there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the renter, but let's just ignore that part, right? Now let's say you're at the refinance. So you're at the refinance and you're at the bank and you're stripping out $210,000 out of the $250,000 value that you have. And many times when banks do refinancing or they do a commercial loan, whatever it may be, they're going to do an appraisal. They're going to reappraise the property. So let's say they appraise it at the number that you want, not what they want, at $250,000. That implies you have $40,000 left in the equity and you now control 100% of the deal, right? Pretty simple, pretty easy for the investor to let it ride and keep doing it again on another property, right? It seems simple. That's how the strategy works. Well, what happens, number one, when the money tightens, prices get overinflated, banks get a little bit more scared, they don't lend out as much, and you can't refinance. Well, this implies that their investor that you use to make this process possible now has their money stuck, right? The money is tied up in the real estate. Well, let's say that doesn't happen, right? And the investor gets cashed out and you get your $40,000 left in the $40,000 worth of equity in the property. Well, what happens when the value drops and you have a loan for $210,000, but the values drop to like 180, 190, or even 200? A lot of times what's going to happen is the banks will call you up and they're going to ask for that difference. And for a lot of investors that use the BRRRR strategy, right, because this topic is the truth about the BRRRR strategy, a lot of the investors that use the BRRRR strategy necessarily may not have the liquidity or the capital on their own to do that for 5, 6, 10 houses. They may not do it. And again, guys, I want to preface by saying that a lot of what I'm saying here, of what this example I'm showing you, is something that I've seen actually happen time and time and time again. So as much as it is my opinion is drawn up by actual things that I've seen and experiences that I've have been shared to me by other individuals. So, I mean, if you disagree with me, feel free to talk to them, right? My opinion is just based on the facts and the events of what actually happened. So again, guys, I hope that it at least brought some new thoughts and new questions for you to think about. And again, I just want to, at the end of the day, be a devil's advocate. I want to challenge you and encourage you to push more and get deeper into your real estate investing business. A lot of times why people fail is neglect. Neglect is why. So ultimately, that's why I'm making this video, for at least you guys to start continuing to think. So all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, I hope that this is something that you guys can take away and get a little deeper on. If you want more information to do exactly that, don't forget, we're actually giving out our book for free. 0 to 75 units. It's how I took my very first step in the world of real estate investing. So it's a very easy read. It's a short book. You can get it done in one bathroom trip, right? But on top of it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click on that notification bell. And also, I want to highlight the next video that you should watch. So if you're looking to scale your real estate business and you're starting to have second thoughts on the BRRRR strategy, feel free to watch our video on how to raise capital for real estate deals. In my experience, learning how to raise capital have been honestly one of the best skills that I've been able to possess to be able to scale my real estate portfolio. So again, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and in no way, shape, or form am I trying to knock down the strategy. I'll probably end up doing it one day, you know, just in the first 2-3 years of a good market is when I would recommend you do it. So again, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to watch the next one. Check out the links in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next one.